on Space Coast Daily in our continuing coverage of what is best here in Brevard County. And this afternoon, I truly am at a location that is one of the best in Brevard County. I'm coming to you live from the Puzzle Box Academy, located here at 2180 Julian Avenue. I'm currently standing outside of the Ocean Room. This is the Reef Daily News, and the Puzzle Box Academy is an academy that handles children with autism and learning disabilities. And here with me to tell us all about this great location, this great facility, is the Assistant Director of Operations. Her name is Brandy Bussey. Brandy, how are you?
I'm doing great today.
Brandy, this is a beautiful location, first of all. Great spot here. First of all, tell us a little bit about the Puzzle Box Academy.
So Puzzle Box Academy is a private school for children with autism and other learning disabilities. We age from pre-K all the way up to 6th grade, but we will be expanding in the next school year up to 8th grade.
Okay.
All of our children are absolutely amazing to begin with, every one of them. Each one of our classes has a different theme and different age group of kids, and we can do a little tour if you'd like.
Sure.
To walk around and talk about that. Here come some of our kids now. Hi. Hi. Bye. Good afternoon.
Bye. Hey, it's always,
See,
I love getting hugs.
There's always something different at Puzzle Box Academy. You never know what you're going to expect. So you got a random hug, which was amazing.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The facility is owned by Pam and James Holz. Great people I was introduced to when I came in. We're here live today at the Puzzle Box Academy, located on Julian Avenue here in Palm Bay. I'm speaking with Brandy Bussey, the Assistant Director of Operations, and we are going to take a tour of this great facility that works with children with autism and other learning disabilities. Check them out online at puzzleboxacademy.com. And you know what? I want to start off. I have a selfish need here. I want to see the digital floor.
Yes.
Let's check out the digital floor.
Okay, so here we have our interactive floor. And this floor has many, many different games. And they can be playing soccer with watermelons and pigs that chase around. And basically, when the lights are off, the children come out here and they get to choose a game that they like. And then on this floor, they run, they jump, they kick, they roll, they crawl, and they're able to play all these different games. It's super interactive, it's very engaging, and our children absolutely love it. So as soon as this comes up, we can get a little glimpse of what these children do.
Tell me a little bit about, and autism is still something that, you know, should be, is in the forefront of learning disabilities. Tell me what needs children with autism have.
Children with autism, the biggest issue that we have is a lack of communication. A lot of these children are unable to communicate how they feel. So when they're upset or they're hungry or they're angry or something is bothering them, they have a hard time communicating those wants and needs. So we're here to help them and work on them and get them to express those feelings, express how they're, you know, are you angry? Are you sad? Are you hungry? And we're here to help them be able to do this so they can tell their parents and they can tell their friends how they're feeling and what they want and what they need without engaging in problem behavior.
We're talking to Brandy Bussey. She is the Assistant Director of Operations here at the Puzzle Box Academy, a fantastic facility here located on Julian Avenue in Palm Bay. Of course, the Puzzle Box Academy helps children with autism and learning disabilities. And this is amazing. This looks like Walt Disney World.
Yeah, this is our Magic Kingdom. This is what displays right as soon as it's ready.
All right, yep, I'm going. So what? Oh, check it out.
So
okay.
We got fireworks that go off.
Okay.
So if you hit or stomp, everything it's super interactive. So where the kids run, see?
I see. That's very cool. You know, I almost think that I need to get one of these and put this in my house.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yes.
I could go for one of these. I don't have room, but if I had room, I would put this in my home.
This is awesome.
Immediately. But, I mean, there's tons of games to choose from, tons of activities that you can do. Here's, if you come on this side, you can see all the different choices that they have.
Oh, now I
played hockey.
I played hockey for 14 years. I gotta see what the ice hockey's all about here. Oh wow! Check this out, huh? Oh, how cool is that? The puck is that? Oh, that's awesome.
No, you gotta hit this side.
And what specifically to children with autism? How does this help them?
Well, this allows them to engage in something and keep them attentive at all times, because sometimes their attention span is so short that if it's something that doesn't keep them active and wanting to be engaged, then we lose their attention and they don't want to play. This right here is what gives them an opportunity to say, hey, I can use motor skills, fine motor skills, I can communicate, I can learn to take turns, I can learn to share with my peers. This is something that's going to keep them active and attentive because it's fun, and they want to be involved in this because it's so fun, because it's so interactive, versus just sitting at a table learning what hockey is, or learning something that is just words and not actual engaging in the activity.
Now, we're going to mention this several times throughout our broadcast here. Once again, we're coming to you live from the Puzzle Box Academy here on Julian Avenue in Palm Bay. Check them out online at puzzleboxacademy.com. I'm speaking with Brandy Bussey, the Assistant Director of Operations here at Puzzle Box Academy. Once you learn as a parent that your child is autistic, what's the next step in the process?
So the most important thing, I think, when a parent learns their child has autism is early intervention. So as soon as you find out and you get that diagnosis of autism, you want to get your child intervention as soon as possible. Applied behavioral analysis is something that we use with these children, and if you can get that right away, starting 2 or 3 years old, then the chances of them progressing and being able to communicate and being able to grow and learn are a lot higher than if you waited a few years and then tried to get intervention with them. The earlier the better. Earlier intervention is key to finding out once your child is diagnosed with autism. So in here we have, like I said, we have pre-K that starts at 2.5, 3 years old.
And this is a big facility, and there are so many members that I've seen here.
Oh yeah.
On staff. I tell you what, Brandy, I would love to see a tour of the facility.
Okay.
All right, let's do that. Where's the best place to go here?
We're going to start down here.
Okay.
This is Dr. Barry.
Dr. Barry, how are you? I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski from Space Coast Daily. Sorry to put you on the spot there, but we are live,
you
Doctor.
happen to be in front of the camera, so I threw you out there. Remember the little thing that happened earlier? Yeah, this is the pickup.
This is the sensory room.
Yeah, so
yep.
right here
sensory
is our
room.
sensory room. So this is where our children go to do a lot of occupational therapy. So so this is where they go to do a lot of like occupational therapy. They learn to push each other on the swings. They learn how to share, and like I said, like turn taking. They're playing appropriately. They're learning how to rock climb, how to climb the ladders, and do things in appropriate play or independent play, and even bringing their peers in here and learning to share with their peers. You know, learning how to balance. We have little balance beams in here, and learning how to use their hands and their feet to climb the ladders. So there's a lot of activities that they can do in here besides just basic playing.
And this is, I mean, this is amazing, and you know, a sense of accomplishment, I suppose. And I don't know much about autism. I'm guilty, as I suppose most of the American population is. What are some things that we should absolutely know about autism?
So autism, something that's really important, like I said earlier, is communication, but they also don't know how to socially interact with peers, and if they do, it's not appropriate. So it's very, very important to teach these children with autism, how do we appropriate play with our peers? How do we socially interact with others? You could bring a couple kids in here with autism and they won't even talk to each other. One will stand over here, one will stand over here, and they'll parallel play, but they actually won't interact with each other. So we really want to work on getting them to walk up to another peer and ask them to play, or learn to share their toys with another peer. Because without teaching them that appropriate play, then they're not going to be able to learn to do that. And at the end of the day, they're just going to stand and just have independent play. They're not going to play with their peers. So it's super important that you teach them how to socially interact with their peers, with their family, with their friends.
Now, I have a question. There are a lot of staff members here, and these are fantastic children. I was standing in the hallway, my heart was already tugged with the hug that I received. You know,
we get a lot of hugs.
It's a great feeling. At the end of the day, when you go home, how hard is it to, you know, after everything that you've been through the course of the day, helping the children out? Well, how do you find time to clear your head and have you time?
That is one of the hardest things, because this is such a high stress job. There's been times where I've gotten in my car and I've actually cried on the way home.
Sure.
Because we deal with so much in a day, and it's heartbreaking because you really want to help these children and you want them to communicate and you want them to do these things, but when they don't, it takes time. So when I get in my car, I've cried on the way home before. It takes me hours sometimes to get home and just unwind and be able to start fresh. So basically, I leave every day the same way that I come in. I come in every morning and make sure that I'm pairing with all the kids, and I leave every day to make sure I'm pairing with these kids. I get hugs before I leave. I ask how their day was, and I want to see basically how they did. So when I get in my car and I drive home, I can feel that sense of accomplishment. It's very rewarding. So I know that I can take that, and even though there's a lot of hardships here, at the end of the day, I know how hard they're working and how much our staff is working to better their lives, and that's what makes it easy for me to go home and unwind and just let it go.
Now, I know that with any profession that deals with the public, especially teaching at any level with any child, patience is obviously a virtue. But emotionally speaking, I mean, where do you pull the patience out?
So me personally, I have endless patience, but I didn't start that way.
Mm-hmm.
I started with being in my car and getting mad sitting in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bothers me now, because you have to realize when you're with these children, if you don't have patience, you're not going to build that rapport. There's not going to be that connection, and it isn't going to work, because it may take you 20, 30 minutes just to have a kid say hi. So if you don't learn to get that patience, then you're not going to get anywhere with these kids. And you have to build this rapport, and you have to be able to have the patience to sit there and know that if you continuously work with that child, they're eventually going to say hi to you, or they're going to give you, the math worksheet that you're trying to get them to do. But without that patience, you're not going to get very far. So
this is Alan Slaughter-Zinski with Space Coast Daily, and we are live here today doing What's Best for Brevard at the Puzzle Box Academy, where owners Pam and James Holz have opened up and run a fantastic facility here. I am speaking with Brandy Bussey. She is the Assistant Director of Operations here. The Puzzle Box Academy helps children with autism and learning disabilities. Please check them out online at puzzleboxacademy.com. And this is just absolutely fascinating. This is fantastic. We're going to continue to take a tour here in just a second of the facility. But I was speaking with Pam a little bit earlier. Can you kind of take us through the enrollment process before we get back out in the commotion of the end of the day?
So in order to enroll your child, there's a few steps that you have to go through. You fill the application out online.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of parents like to come and take tours just so they can see where their child's going to be going and what the classrooms are like and what everything entails. Then you have to go through the insurance process. Does your insurance cover it? If not, what are the expenses? Once all of that's done, then you figure out, your child goes through an evaluation. So then you figure out, is your child a 5-to-1, a 3-to-1, and a 1-to-1? And what that means is those are the ratios. So can your child sit 5 kids to 1 adult, 3 kids to 1 adult, and 1 kid to 1 adult? And that's how our ratios work here. We're also a partnership with Kaleidoscope Interventions, which are also owned by Pam and James.
Mm-hmm.
And at Kaleidoscope, it's all one-on-one intensive applied behavioral analysis all day long. And then we take those kids from there, once they graduate from there, and we bring them here to Puzzle Box, where they're more of a 3 to 5-to-1 versus what they are now. And then once you gather all that information, you've done the evaluation, you filled out the application, you figured out the insurance, you've had the the assessment, then we start your kids.
That's fantastic information to have here. And again, puzzleboxacademy.com is where you need to begin for this process. Should you, and parents need to know, and I guess that they could bring their children here for evaluation.
Yes, yep, of course. So if you are looking for a place to bring your child to, like I said, early intervention is key. So the younger, as soon as you get that diagnosis, bring them in here. Like I said, you can do the tour, and then we can set up a time for an evaluation, and that's where you and your child come in. We ask you a bunch of questions, and then we kind of work with your child one-on-one, and then we put them in the classroom to see how they do in an actual classroom environment. How are they doing with their peers? How are they doing in group settings? And we do this for about 15-20 minutes just to do an observation and kind of see where they are. Are they that 5-to-1? Are they that 3-to-1? Or maybe they need to be a 1-to-1 until we can build them up to that next level so they can attend Puzzle Box Academy.
And we're going to, before we get out of here today, Brandy, I'm going to ask you about a success story that sticks out in your mind. I'm going to have you tell that before we get off here today. But what I would like to see before that is the rest of this great facility.
Okay.
So let's do it.
I'm
And bear
excited.
with us, because like any school, we are in the middle of transition pickup here.
Our
so
children are leaving and heading to Aftercare.
That's exactly right.
So
So
up and down the hallway.
all right, here we go.
There's a bunch of them over there.
Yeah.
And that's part of our Aftercare
Uh-huh.
program. So our school hours are actually 8 to 3:30.
Okay.
And then from 3:30 to 6 we have Aftercare, and from 7:30 to 8 in the morning we have Before Care.
Gotcha.
So this room right here.
Let's
I don't
go
know
in.
if you wanna
Let's go in.
Okay,
Yeah.
this
Let's
room right
let's
here
say hi to everybody.
is our Explorers room.
This is the Explorers,
The
right?
Explorers right here, and this is our beautiful, wonderful staff here in the Explorers room.
I don't mean-
Juanita, she's our teacher.
Hello. How are you?
This is wonderful Miss Brittany and Miss Cassie.
Do you want to tell them what grade levels you teach?
Oh my goodness. Well, actually, this is a phenomenal class, and we are the explorers. And we move from, usually when we're teaching, we move from one country to the other, one state to the other. And so it's wonderful in here. We are crazy, but hey, that's what the kids need.
Right.
And right now in this class, I teach from kindergarten to second grade. It's fun.
How much of a sense of satisfaction is it when you're teaching, when you say, pick out that country or pick out that state, and it happens? How do you feel?
Oh, I feel ecstatic. It's amazing because these kids, when you're teaching them, they're all ears, all eyes. Sometimes they're not listening. Sometimes when you talk and you say, hey, this state is this part of the country, and they say, oh no, Miss Juanita, I think it's Africa, but it's fun. It's part of it, and we correct them, and they come back and tell us and reiterate it to us again. So it's fun. It's amazing. I love it. I love it every second of it.
And what was your name again?
My name is Miss Juanita Nadam.
Amazing. We love Miss Juanita. This class is awesome.
And ladies, and who, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but who we have here?
Miss Stephanie.
Miss Stephanie.
Miss Cassie.
And we are live at the Puzzle Box Academy here for Space Coast Daily, taking a tour of this fantastic facility. We are in the Explorers room here, and you can see the tools available. This is a perfect learning atmosphere here.
Every single classroom has an interactive board.
Okay.
So the children, like, let's say they're doing calendar time for the morning, they can come up here and they can move the numbers around. They can pick animals, they can pick letters, they can pick colors, they can play puzzles. There's tons of stuff that they can do on here, like the interactive floor, but it's on the board.
Gotcha.
And it's academic, it can play games, you can play movies, it does all of the above.
That's
So, yeah,
fantastic
and every
stuff
classroom
here.
has one of those.
All right, we're going to move from the Explorers room. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you guys.
All right, continuing to
All
take
right,
a
on
tour
to the
here
next room.
of this great facility here, the
Okay.
Puzzle Box Academy. What do we have here?
This room is the colors room,
Okay,
and
here we come.
in
into the
there is
colors.
Mr. Christopher.
Mr. Christopher, I hate to put you on the spot, but you are on Space Coast Daily
Fantastic.
TV. I'm going to back up here. Mr. Christopher, tell me a little bit about your classroom, the colors room.
The colors room, Miss Jones, I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe the colors room.
And ma'am, what is
The
your
colors
name?
room is just that. It's very colorful.
Uh-huh.
Our children are very... Miss Paula.
Can you take it? Okay.
Same thing.
Do you have that board in here as well?
Same thing. This is our
Okay.
interactive board right here. Actually, this computer is
Uh-huh.
a discrete child trainer, which means that children can come sit here and work independently. They each have their own folder on here with different types of work on it. So if they're not sitting at a table, they come and sit at this computer, they put their headphones on, and they independently work on different activities that they have themselves.
And what is your name, ma'am?
I'm Victoria.
Very nice to meet you, Victoria. Yep. Now this is the colors room.
And this is our beautiful behavioral analyst, Corrales.
She's not much on the live feed, huh?
Corrales is a little shy.
Well, this
Okay.
is the colors room. So we've gone from the Century room to the Explorers room to the colors room. At least my memory's still in check. Thank you all very much.
Thank you guys.
Again, this is Alan Slaughterzinski here at the Puzzle Box Academy, located on Julian Avenue. This is a facility, a learning facility for children with autism and other learning disabilities. And we're taking a tour of the facility right now with Brandy Bussey, the Assistant Director of Operations here.
All right, and sometimes when our children are in the classroom, if there's a lot of distractions going on, they may have a hard time concentrating. So we will pull them out occasionally if they need that time to do some work and complete some work where it's a lot quieter. Obviously it's loud right now because it's transitioning time, but in the afternoons it's very quiet, and we'll pull them out here and maybe do a little work with them here if they're getting distracted in the classroom because there's a lot going on.
I sat at this desk a lot.
You were in trouble, weren't you? There's a difference between not being distracted and being in trouble.
All right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So this class right here is the Owls classroom.
Hello,
This is
everybody.
our first grade class.
This is Space Coast Daily Live here at the Puzzle Box Academy. I did say live. Here at the Puzzle Box Academy. And what is this room?
This is the Owls classroom. This is our first graders. And that is our wonderful teacher, Miss Tracy, over there.
Miss Tracy, it's very nice to meet you. Tell us a little bit about your room.
Our room is pretty awesome, if I say so myself. We have a lot of fun things, a lot of hands-on activities. The boys and girls really enjoy music and learning through the smart board.
Gotcha.
So we do a lot of science and interactive work with them.
Now, as you all sit here at the end of a day working with children with autism, what goes through your mind about the day? Do you sit and reflect and talk about the day and the accomplishments of the day? And tell me a little bit about that. I was talking to Brandy about that. And tell me what goes through your mind at the end of the day as you're driving home or sitting here in a group.
Yeah, I do think I reflect and see what I can do better the next day or what I could do to help the kids the next day.
Okay.
So yeah, I do sit back and see, what behaviors worked, what caused the behaviors, or if we have what's really working in the classroom, let's do it again. And we switch it up just to make sure all the kids all their needs are being met all the time.
Fantastic. And what's your name?
Jasmine.
Jasmine, tell me a little bit about what type of, sense of satisfaction you feel at the end of the day when you see a child learning that has autism and something has clicked for the first time.
It's kind of incredible. It's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Like we had a 10-year-old that couldn't read, and now he's reading at a first grade level.
Wow.
And it's incredible what we can do in such a small time limit. I mean, just because we have the hands-on learning here, we have the correct amount of staff. We're a 5-to-1 ratio here, so we can get a lot done.
That is fantastic. And I tell you, thank you all very much for all that you do. And I'm sorry, what was the name of this classroom?
This is the Owls classroom.
The Owls classroom. Okay, so now just so you know, we've been to, let me see if I can remember this. We've been to the Century room. We've been to, I see I've already forgot, Explorers. Give me another hint. Colors room, right. And then now the Owls room, right.
You want to see the Owls?
I
pet?
do,
They have a
actually.
pet right here, a little class pet.
What do we got here?
Is this one here? A hermit crab.
Oh, check it out.
Yep,
And it's a
the one with the
painted
eyelashes, right? Yep.
painted hermit crab,
So
too.
that's their class pet.
And the good news is that they come out of their shells and you can do a different shell for
Yeah,
them.
right.
Very
So
cool.
I think maybe one day.
I did learn that.
Color shells.
Ladies, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thanks for all that you do. Awesome.
That's a wonderful group of people.
That
in
is
there.
an awesome
great
room
staff.
there.
So our next class is the ocean room.
Okay, this is where we began the tour here.
This is the teacher for the ocean room.
Ma'am, what is your name?
Miss T.
And tell me a little bit about your room before we go in.
My room's pretty awesome. All my kids behave very well.
Uh-huh.
We have a great team that works together and makes sure our kids' needs are met every single day.
And what specifically is it that what are you teaching them?
We are teaching them life skills. I
Okay.
have a lot of educational goals that they have to meet, but I want them to be able to be people out in the real world.
Sure.
Be able to function, be social.
Right. And that ocean of life, right?
Yes,
there it
ocean.
is, huh?
They're the one with the recent daily news that are so exciting. This is the ocean room.
The ocean room. Say hi, ladies. I'll break the bad news to you, or the good news to you.
good news.
You are live on Space Coast Daily TV, so everybody wave.
And this is Tez. She'll try to run away.
No, she's leaving.
She's trying.
Now, before we talk about the ocean room, I have a question here from a Michelle Watkins, and she says, "I wish there was something like this for adults who have autism. They don't grow out of it. Why doesn't it stop once they're an adult?" Let's
You're perfect.
let's bring in
Miss Pam.
Pam and James Holtz. They are the owners of this fantastic facility. Miss Pam, that's a great question. Why is that?
Well, because up until recently, most of our autistic adults were diagnosed with either ADD or ADHD.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until 1986 that we started to see a big submergence of autism spectrum disorder being diagnosed in our children. They started to define what these children's they're not flaws, they're twerks, little quirks.
Sure.
My kid has them,
Right.
So what we did is, if you notice, the big signs are up now. We're opening the Holtz Center
Right.
to meet that need. It's going to have training classes, social groups for adults with autisms, for fathers of autistic kids, for mothers of autistic kids, so that we're kind of reaching the entire community. So that should be open by June 1st. You can already see the signs out on the building.
Yep. And yeah, I'm glad I got you because I do have. Tell me a little bit about Kaleidoscope Interventions.
Kaleidoscope Interventions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, that is our clinical sister company.
Okay.
Kaleidoscope Interventions starts from 2-year-olds all the way up until 18-year-olds.
Okay.
We will start doing in-home services in the summer this year, but we mainly focus on intensive ABA therapy of children. A lot of our students that are here at Puzzle Box Academy get services through Kaleidoscope as well, but you don't have to be a Puzzle Box Academy student in order to get services with Kaleidoscope.
Gotcha.
We open to speech, OT, and ABA therapy, all with Kaleidoscope Interventions.
Now, as you and your husband, why the decision to get into owning and operating facilities such as this? What was the motivation?
Fighting the public school system myself.
Really?
We have an 11-year-old that was nonverbal to the outside world. Most mom and dads can understand this. Mom and dad can understand what he says, but if you have a stranger walk in, they couldn't understand, couldn't listen to him until he was about 6 years old.
Right.
We went through the public school system, the every 3-month IEP meetings, the fighting for services, the fighting for his rights that are in the IEP, but then the school, and it's not really the teachers, it's the fact that there's no funding in order to support the things that are inside those IEPs.
Great point.
So with that, I got tired of the fight, and I'm an educated mom that had the financial resources to do that. And there was one day I left the IEP meeting and I was in tears. I sat in the parking lot in my car and cried for 15, 20 minutes. I was like, this is enough. And so that was when my son was in 1st grade. And I swore that I was going to make a difference and parents shouldn't have to go through this. And so that's why we're doing what we're doing.
That's a fantastic story, and make a difference you have. As I watched the children walk down the hallway, you know, I was telling Brandy that I got a hug right away at the beginning of this interview, and it's touching. It really, I mean, this is fascinating work as well. Bless you, fascinating work as well that you do. What are some of the things that you have learned throughout this process that?
Oh my goodness,
yeah, I mean,
I could write a book.
Yeah, tell me, just run me through a couple of things that you feel like that you've been able to really make a difference with.
Well, I think we get asked all the time what makes us different than a bunch of our resources that are in Brevard County.
Right.
You know, I take a different approach. I don't think that competition is a bad thing. I think having so many resources in this county makes the businesses step up their business approach a notch.
Right.
So that gives all of the families that are in Brevard County, you know, the experience that in some of our southern counties, they have no ABA specialist there. They have no speech therapist there. So we're blessed that we do have a lot of resources here in Brevard. What makes us different, though, is that when you walk into Puzzle Box, as a parent, you have a glimpse of, oh my goodness, my child's going to have the same type of education I had.
Right.
Not just a facility where he's getting treatment and he's getting private school, environment, but we have a gymnasium area. We have, art going on. We have winter programs. We have our summer program that's going to come up. You don't miss out just because your child has been diagnosed. And I think that's a big thing that most families are afraid of, is that, oh my goodness, my kid has a label, and so now he's not going to have, or she's not going to have the same experiences and the memories that I had growing up.
Isn't it equally as important? The children, of course, are our future, our focus. We know how important children are, but the parents, the levels of frustration that they must experience, isn't it important too? As you said, you sat in your car for 15 minutes and cried. How much of an emphasis, or can you put an emphasis and help out the parents and relax them and help them feel like, there is a light at the end of that tunnel? It's not a freight train.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I would share with any parent is don't give up. Mm-hmm. Know your rights. Educate yourself. Dr. Google is amazing. Don't be afraid of it. And if you don't understand, keep digging and keep searching. When you sit down with your teachers, understand that those teachers are also overworked. Most of those classes in the public school system have close to 30 children in there with one teacher, where our teachers don't have 15 kids in a classroom, and we've got 5 adults in here all hands-on with our kids. Be patient with the teachers, but also don't back down.
Gotcha.
Your children didn't ask for this. They were a blessing given to you. So you fight and you stand up for them, and you keep fighting and you keep stand up.
I love the passion and, of course, the commitment. We're standing in the commitment. There's no question about that. I'm speaking with Pam Holz, her and her husband James. They are the owners of the Puzzle Box Academy, located here at 2180 Julian Avenue in Palm Bay. If you have any questions, feel free to call at 321-345-0861. I would highly recommend you also check them out online at puzzleboxacademy.com. We were taking a tour with Brandy Bussey. She is the Assistant Director of Operations. And then we found Miss Pam here. So before we let Miss Pam go, tell us about the future for Puzzle Box Academy, and maybe something about enrollment.
Oh, absolutely. So right now we have our Palm Bay campus. And our Palm Bay campus this past year has been from preschool all the way up to 6th grade. Next year we will be kindergarten through 8th grade here at this facility. We will offer early intensive therapy to our preschoolers at our Hibiscus location, which is across from the Oaks Theater. Then we also have another clinic opening up right off of NASA Boulevard in Hibiscus, and that clinic will service our older children that need intensive one-on-one therapy.
Gotcha.
We also will be opening the community center that will be at the same NASA location, and that's for all of our parents. And it doesn't matter if it's Kaleidoscope, Puzzle Box, or any of the other amazing resources we have in Brevard County. We wanted a one-stop shop where moms and dads, when they find out that, hey, my kid isn't neurotypical, what do I do? Instead of having to search the entire county, we wanted one stop, one place that they could come and find out everything that Brevard County has to offer. So we have that coming. We also are looking right now, we're in our due diligence period and opening up our Viera location. The Viera location right now we're looking at as a 25,000 square foot facility.
Wow.
Yes. So
congratulations on
thank you.
Yeah. I mean that's amazing. And I have to tell you that as I sit here and listen to you, I'm very excited,
Thank
you know,
you.
about the future for this because, you know, we here at Space Coast Daily, we take pride in being able to show the people of Brevard County what's best for them in the county, you know, community oriented.
Right.
And I can tell you right now that of all the interviews and all the places that I've gone, this has probably been the best, the most heart-touching place that I've been yet.
Oh,
so,
thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Congratulations on everything that you and your husband and your amazing staff.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you find your staff? What is the process to say, you know what, this individual is qualified to come into the Puzzle Box Academy and help us?
Well, all of our teachers that we have on site have at least 2 years experience in the teaching field. They all have got their degrees in their field that they're teaching. On top of that, we bring in our teachers' aides. We also have our RBTs that are coming in. But what sets us up a little different is that we require our staff, meaning our teachers' aides, our teaching, our RBTs, they all have to go through behavioral training.
Ooh.
A key component that makes us different is in a lot of facilities, the teachers are academic, the therapists are behavioral,
Okay.
and there's no meld.
Gotcha.
So what we do is we need to make sure that our teachers understand the behavioral side.
Gotcha.
So that's what sets us up a little different as well. So each classroom has a BCBA assigned to the classroom, a lead RBT, then we have a minimum of 2 RBTs in the classroom with a teacher as well.
That is fantastic information. It's great to know. This is Pam Holz, her and her husband James, owners of the Puzzle Box Academy. And of course, you just heard about the future of this fantastic facility. And is your husband shy? Can you say hello? James, how you doing?
Doing all right.
We'll make it quick here.
Awesome.
How you feel when you walk out the door each day, a sense of accomplishment, while there's still much work to be done. Your feelings on what you've accomplished to this point.
I think it's awesome. It's a great beginning. This was just the precursor. We're not even getting into our beta test. The beta test is going to be in Viera. We hired a ton of great people. We're doing different curriculums. If you talk to my wife, we have McGraw-Hill, Morningside, you name it, we have it, and we're seeing what works best for us and our teachers and our staff. Then we're also going to be opening up the Viera location.
Yeah.
My wife briefly touched about that. I'm closing on that pretty soon with the doodahs. We're doing, most likely going to be expanding into Cincinnati, Charlotte, and a lot of other areas pretty soon. So the next 5 years we'll probably have a lot more size to us than right now.
And of course, autism, you know, is a learning disability that is going to be a way of life for these children, and to be able to teach them to, you know, learn and get past some of the difficulties that, you know, people take for granted every day, to be able to expand like that.
It's not a way of life.
Well,
I'm sorry, the mom in me is...
No, that's okay.
You know what it is?
Correct
it
me
is
for
an
sure.
obstacle.
Obstacle,
It
okay.
is simply an obstacle, and I think that's one of our biggest credits is none of our teachers or staff here treat any of our children like they are disabled.
Gotcha.
They may have it a little rougher right now, but we're going to push them, and we're going to make them jump over that obstacle.
Love it.
Because this is our scientist, this is our engineer, this is our, hopefully, president, better than what we got.
Right.
But this is our future,
Right.
you know? So we don't want to hold these kids back or put them in a classroom where they're doing coloring sheets all day just
Sure.
because they have behaviors. No, we're here to teach them through those behaviors and find out what is specific about that child that makes them shine. And then we're going to take and focus on that, and we're going to pull it out. That's what our job is here. That's what our job as teachers and educators are.
I made the mistake one time. I was interviewing a gentleman who was paraplegic, and he said, I said, handicapped? He said, no, I'm going to correct you. He said, I'm handicapable. And I absolutely always loved that. So, no, absolutely. I you know, this is a learning process for all of us, especially those of us that, you know, may not have a child, you know, inflicted with autism, but you know, it's important that everybody learn and know about
Well,
this.
you have to understand, we do have some neurotypical children in the school.
Right.
That parents were tired of the crowded classrooms in
Gotcha.
the public school system, and they wanted a hands-on learning approach.
What's neurotypical?
Mainstream child that doesn't have a label on them. You
Right.
know? I think 90% of all of our kids in the classroom have some form of ADD and ADHD because they're not getting enough playtime. They're not getting enough time outside. They're not getting enough time to get that energy out. So those are, you know, the little Johnnies or Susies that are sitting at class that are like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
And the teacher's like, well, I've had to redirect them 10, 15 times during the day. Well, that's maybe because they need to get that energy out. You've got to teach them a little different, you know?
Well, what other types of learning disabilities aside from autism are
It can be dyslexia, it can be ADHD, ADD. It could be that child that has an enormous IQ that is bored, and so therefore the child acts out. And so
Right.
you've got a lot of kids that are listed in behavioral units that don't have a diagnosis
Gotcha.
because they don't have the time to give them individualized attention or instruction.
Fantastic. We are speaking with Pam and James Holz, as well as Brandy Bussey. We didn't forget about you, Brandy.
All right, I'm waiting.
The Assistant Director of Operations, and of course, Pam and James, the owners. Well, thank you so much for having
Absolutely.
Space Coast Daily
Anytime.
here today. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. And Brandy,
I'm
I
ready.
think it's
If
time to
you're
finish
ready,
the
I'm
rest of
ready.
the tour.
All right, let's
All
go.
right.
Let's do this. So, we mentioned earlier, I had mentioned something about Aftercare, and also this interactive floor. During the day, we use this interactive floor, but this whole entire room that you see, this is actually our PE room as well. So we have a PE teacher here, Mr. John, and he does scooters, baseball, hockey, basketball. He plays, there are a million games that he plays with our kids every day. The kids have PE. Every classroom has PE every day, and they work on their motor skills. And again, sharing, turn taking, even learning how to lose.
Right.
Because a lot of our kids have a hard time when they lose a game. They don't know how to appropriately react to that.
Right.
So they will have tantrums, or they will, you know, they will get mad at the other peers for losing.
I'm 47. I still
And
don't know how to react to
so
losing.
maybe you should come here and let us help you out a little bit and see if we can fix that for you. But a lot of them, it's the truth. And then so, you know, Mr. John is here to help him work on those things. And how do we lose appropriately? Like, it's okay not to always win and stuff like that. So
Right.
during the day, this is our PE room. This is what we do. We do the interactive floor. In the afternoons, what you see right now is just aftercare. So these are
Right.
the children that are here just waiting for the
It's
parents
just
to come
like a
get them.
normal school function,
exactly.
right? It's
So
aftercare.
They work super hard all day long, so now it's their time to have that little bit of a break. So it's still structured and they're still doing things, but it's more, you know, it's more fun, less demands, things like that. But as you see, and there's some outside too, if you want to go outside.
Let's venture.
So we have a huge fenced-in area
Let's
out
venture.
here.
Oh, wow. This is beautiful out here. Yeah.
We have a bubble machine over here that all of our
That
kids are-
fascinates me.
Yep.
I know this guy here wanted to get in on the action.
Mr. John is our PE teacher. Mr. John is our, this is some of our kids. Hi.
Hello, Mr. John. How you doing? Space Coast Daily. Talk about your interaction with the children.
I want to go to that college.
My interaction.
How much enjoyment you get out of it?
I have a lot of fun interacting with the kids.
Yeah?
Like, we play different sports, and this is, I don't know, it's
What
fun.
kind of sports do you play?
Well, today we're playing baseball, so that was fun.
Yeah.
Lost a couple balls to the fence.
That's not a bad thing, though, right?
No, it was a couple grand slams.
Hitting them out.
Especially this boy.
Hey!
That little one right there. Yeah.
You. This is one of our athletes right there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he can play every sport. He can run fast. He can jump. He can. You name it. He can do it. You can too. You're right. You both are amazing.
Two great athletes here at the
Exactly,
Puzzle Box Academy. Well, thank you very much.
No problem.
I appreciate your time with us here today. As we-
If you guys want to see me, here's my phone number. 053.
So our kids come out here all throughout the day. Right now, again, it's aftercare, so it's kind of
Sure.
sporadic. But during the day, Mr. John has structured activities that they do, games that they play, that they can work on their motor skills and work on their communication. Here comes our friend again.
There he is.
This one's a ham. This one's a ham. I'm gonna see you on
Bye.
TV later. You gotta stay out here, bud.
All right, let's head up front and
Do you want? We have two more classes.
yeah,
You
let's
wanna
check
see them,
past.
or-
Let's check those two out. And this is the kaleidoscope here.
Yeah, right here is our kaleidoscope interventions area. So in this classroom is where we take our kids. I can already hear her. Look, there she is, Miss Trish Rich.
There, ladies, how are you today?
Program director.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What is her name?
Trish Rich.
Trish Rich, Miss Rich, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinsky with Space Coast Daily. You're live on our What is Best for Brevard here today.
We're live.
We're live, yes ma'am, we are. We're at the Puzzle Box Academy located on Julian Avenue. And tell us a little bit about what you do here.
I'm the program director for Kaleidoscope Interventions, which means that I coordinate all of the Kaleidoscope facilities. We have a clinic, we have a resource center, and we have a school. So what my job is coordinate all of Kaleidoscope, the clinical side, and make sure that we're all doing the good stuff together. We're all doing the right things, we're all doing the same things, that there's just kind of somebody making sure that everything flows the same way from the clinic to the school to wherever we are.
Fantastic. And I tell you, this is an amazing operation here as we're taking a tour of it here with Brandy. And what would you like people to know about Puzzle Box, about Kaleidoscope that maybe we haven't talked about? And I know you don't know what we've talked about, but something that people need to know.
I can tell you the reason I came to Puzzle Box and the reason I stay at Puzzle Box. The reason that I came to Puzzle Box was I've been a behavior analyst for 17 years, and I've never seen any facility put together in such a way that this one is, where there was never a limit on money that we could have to buy things that we needed for kids. There was never a limit on anything as far as what a kid would need outside of money. If we needed to have resources, if we needed to have people, if we needed to have anything for that kid to get that kid what they needed, that's what we were able to get, and there was never a question. That was the reason I came here. The reason I stay here is because I've been here a year and a half now, and I see the changes that we've made in these kids. And like I say, I've been a behavior analyst for 17 years. I've seen kids in a year and a half go from non-speaking, barely able to communicate any wants and needs, behaviors off the charts, to being able to come up to me and say, hey, I want that car, or I want a hug. So that's why I stay. I get to see the changes that happen with tons of kids, not just one or two.
This is Trish Rich. Trish, thank you so much
for
taking time to speak with us on Space Coast Daily. Behavior analysis, they scare me. No.
They're analyzing your behavior.
We should, because we're
She should scare you. Yeah, I've been analyzing you this whole time.
You saw me, right? I was like, oh my goodness.
Yep. So that room in there basically is where we do our one-on-one. So like I said earlier, children that are easily distracted, that need to leave the classroom to be able to focus more, we take them in there. All of our kids come out throughout the day periodically, and they go into that classroom and they work with their behavioral analyst, and they get that one-on-one attention.
Just like a well-oiled machine.
Oh, it's amazing. The stuff that happens in this building is absolutely amazing. And like same thing, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've gone to clinics, I've done in-home, I've been in schools, and this is the best place I've ever been. Not because I'm here, but because I'm here and I've been in it and I've done it and I know it.
Right.
So,
what's left here?
Okay, so right here is our pre-K classroom.
Enchanted Forest.
The Enchanted Forest. These are our littles.
Okay.
So these guys come to us when they're just little itty bitties. Here's some of our staff
There's
in
the
here.
great doctor again.
Dr. Barry's in here again. This is Miss Tanaya and Miss Amber.
Miss Tanaya, Miss Amber, I'm Alan from Space Coast Daily, and we're taking a tour of Puzzle Box Academy today. You're live.
Yeah.
Just a little heads up. You all look great. Tell me a little bit about why you love Puzzle Box Academy.
Well, first and foremost, I love children. It is something that is very innate for me, very near and dear. I like the idea of being able to work with children and being able to know that I help them become more, especially in this field, because they don't have the same advantages automatically. And you need special people that can give them those, tools, and that can give them that confidence and give them that achievement, that feeling of satisfaction.
Sure.
And that's what we do here with them, so that they know that they can do just like everyone else.
Well, I certainly appreciate you taking time to talk to Space Coast Daily. Tell me what happens in this room.
That's one of our newest.
I'm sorry. Tell me what happens in this room.
Yeah. Well, in this classroom we call them the littles. They're the preschoolers. So we have 3 to 5, about 3 to 5. We teach them a lot of their what we call ables, so they learn how to know what left and right, what goes over, what goes under. We give them that general preschool curriculum, as well as giving them the skills of how to socialize with their peers, how to problem solve with their peers, and just learning how to, learn the everyday things that they would learn if they went to a regular preschool type school setting.
Gotcha.
Try to integrate them so that they can do that later.
Well, that's fantastic stuff, and I certainly appreciate it. And good luck to you on moving forward with your future here. And Doctor, tell me a little bit about what you do here, if you don't mind.
I'm a behavior analyst, so part of my job has been going around trying to help the kids with whatever their behavioral issues are, try to help the teachers and the staff here not only cope with that, but also help them learn new skills so that we're going to be able to function better in everyday life, be able to succeed and go on to greater and better things.
What, as you were thinking about a medical field to get into, what was it that steered you this way?
Well, to be honest, I got into the psychology stuff largely because it irritated my grandfather. But
that's okay.
He was more
Thanks for your honesty.
Yeah, right. No, it's great.
But that was a field of interest, and I got steered toward. I liked the behavior analysis. I liked how nicely it was grounded. I liked also that lots of opportunities to go out and actually help people.
Sure.
So
it's different every day, right?
It is very different.
Completely different from the next.
Well, thank you all very much, and we appreciate the work that you all do in the community, so thank you very much. Nice meeting everybody. This is Enchanted Forest. Now, if I actually remember all of these rooms,
I will be absolutely amazing.
I'm going to try it. Let's stop. All right. I'm going to try Enchanted Forest colors, owls.
Yes.
We went to the Kaleidoscope, the Sensory Room, the Sea Room.
What was the name of it?
The Ocean Room.
Yes.
That's all of them, right?
No, you're missing the very first one we looked at.
Oh my
Remember?
goodness.
I'm going to give you like a slight
give me a hint.
partial prompt.
Oh, what is
a
it?
slight partial prompt.
I can't remember. Tell me.
Explorers.
Explorers, that's right. Explorers, that's right.
With Miss Juanita. I know you didn't forget Miss Juanita.
No, I didn't.
She was wild and amazing.
Yes, she was. Come on in. We're going to finish up here as we are with Brandy Bussey and Pam and James Holz here. Well, this has been uplifting, educational, and very much an eye-opener for me. Thank you all very much. And as we close out, Ms. Pam, I'm going to ask you, what is it that you want the community of Brevard County and the Space Coast to know about the Puzzle Box Academy that maybe we haven't talked about?
Just remember for mom and dads out there that when their children get diagnosed, there's still no cure, but that doesn't mean there's not hope.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing that all providers and all educators need to remember to tell their parents, is that no matter what facility you go to, no matter what clinic you go to, make sure you're there fighting for each one of those children, and make sure that you're giving those parents hope.
Fantastic. Well, we have we've talked about the future. The future is bright for sure. There's no question about that. As Pam and James Holz have done a magnificent job, and the plans of expansion are enormous, with great staff members like Brandy here, the Assistant Director of Operations. I'm going to run through it one more time here. We are here finishing up at the Puzzle Box Academy, located at 2180 Julian Avenue here in Palm Bay. Give them a call if you have any questions at 321-345-0861, and we encourage you to please check them out online at puzzleboxacademy.com. And remember, early intervention, say it.
Early intervention is key. Remember that.
That's it right there. So for Brandy, for Pam and James, I'm Alan Slaughter-Sinski for Space Coast Daily. Have a great day, everybody.